The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Chinese businessmen found dead in Petit Bourg. The bodies of two elderly brothers were found with their hands tied with plastic zip ties in their home in Petit Bourg on Tuesday morning. Police said 87-year-old Mervyn Leesoy and his brother Michael, 78, were found in their apartment home on the top floor of the Trinidad Ornamental store, which they owned and ran, located on the Eastern Main Road. Staff found the bodies around 8 a.m. The San Juan police and homicide investigators were called in. Police said the men's hands were tied behind their backs, and it is believed that they may have died from asphyxiation. The apartment was ransacked, the police said. The neighbors said the Leesoy brothers were quiet men who generally kept to themselves. Every so often we used to see them coming and sitting out on the patio there, said a resident, pointing at the building. They were some of the nicest people you could meet, so this is why it's so shocking. I'm concerned for my own safety now because I live right over there. The resident, who requested anonymity, said, "If these bandits had to rob them, just rob them and go, but they didn't have to kill the people. I sometimes leave my windows open because it's so hot these days, but I may have to stop doing that now because of how violent the place is." Neighbors said they did not hear anything overnight or on Tuesday morning to make them suspicious. Police from the Homicide Bureau of Investigations Region 2 are continuing inquiries. Easter Sunday marred by beach tragedies. Easter Sunday was marred by the untimely demise of two victims of drowning at two popular beaches off Trinidad's north coast. The first occurred around 10:30 a.m. at Tyrico Bay. Police said Naveen Kalu, 42, was swimming in the water but began experiencing difficulties and disappeared below the waves. Relatives and onlookers rushed towards him and dragged him out to the shore, where attempts were made to resuscitate him without success. The Claxton Bay man was taken to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Hours later, around 4 p.m., another man began experiencing difficulties while swimming at Maracas Bay, which is a short distance from Tyrico. Police said he too was pulled from the water. Attempts were made to resuscitate him until an ambulance arrived and took him to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where he was also pronounced dead on arrival. He remained unidentified up to last night. Members of the Hunters Search and Rescue Team, HSRT, were on spot at Mayaro Beach on Easter Sunday to rescue a woman who was trapped in the water after being pinned by a large floating log. Together with family members, our team was able to safely extract her. The large floating log was then moved to the seashore. A release from the HSRT stated, "The woman sustained leg injuries from the incident." While at the beach, the Hunter Search and Rescue Team also pointed out several rip currents in the area. The HSRT members were at the Mayaro Beach as part of their public awareness campaign on safety tips for swimmers. They also visited beaches at Maracas, Chaguamas, Moruga, and Salibia. Flyers were distributed, and children were given kites after the team spoke to them about being safe. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar addresses supporters in UNC planned protest. United National Congress leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar is in Debe at one of the 30 locations throughout the country where UNC planned protests are taking place. Addressing scores of supporters at Debe Roundabout for the UNC's Enough is Enough protest action, Persad-Bissessar said they are protesting several issues, including the hike in fuel prices. She also revealed two documents. One, she claimed, is a confidential memo from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service macOing the UNC's planned activities today. Describing the memo as disturbing evidence of the police macOing the UNC's operations, she said there are names and numbers of UNC people on the document. "We have nothing to be afraid of," she declared. She said they are obeying the law, and she has also instructed that no roadways are to be blocked. She claimed the TTPS is violating the law. The other document, she said, is a report from The Guardian of the United Kingdom confirming that the Prime Minister of England is the target of a nefarious Pegasus spyware. She said that equipment could hack a phone and turn it into a listening device, and the TNT government has confirmed that they bought the device. Prasad Bisar said they are also protesting increasing food prices, cost of living, and skyrocketing crime. Referring to the long weekend of homicides, she said they intend to raise these issues in Parliament tomorrow as they are matters of urgent importance. She also said that the Prime Minister is ducking and hiding from questions as he will be in Barbados instead of being in Parliament. She also questioned what measures were in place to vaccinate children now that schools have Oropuchi East MP Rudal Munilal protest action taking place at overpasses and flyovers across the country. She said apart from the increase in fuel prices, they are calling for Keith Rowley to go. Double homicide in Enterprise, suspect in custody. Exactly 4 years after his grandmother died, an Enterprise father was erased at his home on Monday. Akeem James, 27, was at his Chrissy Terrace Enterprise home around 2:30 p.m. when a car with 4 men pulled up. The vehicle's occupants opened fire, hitting James, 40-year-old Fabian Shade, and 35-year-old Samuel Smith. Both Shade and Samuel were taken to hospital, while James died at the scene. Police said 5 minutes earlier, the same group of men pulled up at a house in Bagaloo Terrace Enterprise and opened fire on a group of men. Another man, who remains unidentified, died at the scene. There were also reports that the assailants also opened fire on the occupants of a third house in the area, but police were unable to confirm the details of that incident. In a release shortly after 6 p.m. yesterday, the TNT Police Service announced one of the suspected assailants had been arrested. The TTPS said an AR-15 rifle, a pistol, and a blue Toyota Aqua were also seized in the exercise. Quick action by police led to the arrest of one man who was allegedly involved in the shooting deaths of 2 men and the wounding of another man earlier today, the release stated. Police on the scene said they believe the shootings were linked to gang violence in the area. A female relative of James who wished to remain anonymous said she last spoke to James on Saturday night at a family reunion. She said James seemed to be in good spirits and was talking about his deceased grandmother. "We were talking about his grandmother and saying tomorrow would make 4 years since she died," she said. The woman said James' 6-year-old son did not live with him, and his joy was dampened when he tried to see the child on Sunday evening, but was denied by the child's mother. He was enjoying himself with everybody else. When he see all the children who were there, he called his son's mother to ask her to bring the child, but she didn't bring him, the woman said. She said she was told James and the other men were liming at his home when the assailants pulled up. It was the same car that passed through to other streets before and shoot up the place. They come here and then gone again, she said. Other residents looked on as crime scene investigators took photos and collected evidence, but they declined to speak. Enterprise accident victim identified as Venezuelan. The Venezuelan woman who died in an accident in Enterprise on Sunday has been identified. Police identified the woman as 22-year-old Gracie Marie Ramos. Ramos last lived at Monroe Road, Cunupia. Ramos was seated in the front seat of the black Nissan Almera being driven by Dylan Carrier on Sunday morning when Carrier crashed head-on into another vehicle. She died at the scene. Police report that Carrier was fleeing the scene of another accident at Esmeralda Junction, Cunupia, when he collided with a Hyundai Tragedy driven by an elderly man along the southern main road in Enterprise. Both occupants of the Tragedy were taken to hospital on Sunday, but by Monday afternoon they had been discharged. Carrier remains at hospital under police guard. Officers were hesitant to say what charges would be brought against him. Businessman severely injured and robbed in home invasion. A Claxton Bay businessman remains in stable condition at hospital after armed assailants set him ablaze after robbing him at his home yesterday morning. The assailants also poisoned the businessman's 3 dogs. A report stated that the 59-year-old was at his home along Cedar Hill Road, Claxton Bay, around 6:30 a.m. when the assailants entered. At the time, a relative and a friend were also at the house. Police said the assailants robbed him of $20,000 in cash and jewelry worth tens of thousands of dollars. Photos of the businessman's injuries surfaced on social media yesterday, as it was alleged that the assailants poured alcohol on him in an attempt of homicide. They then made a hasty escape in a waiting vehicle. St. Margaret's police responded to a report of the robbery and scoured the area for the suspects. Up to yesterday evening, no one was detained. An ambulance took the businessman to the San Fernando General Hospital, where he underwent emergency treatment.